Hello everybody, I'm going to be taking a look at the Brewmaster Monk, which in case you don't know, the Brewmaster spec is the tanking spec of monks. So let's just get right into it, and this will just give you a general idea of the abilities we have, how they might function in the future, but really it's just to give you an overview of what to expect and where they might be headed. So let's start off by hitting this stupid training dummy. And let's get into our abilities. So you notice my first ability is Pike. A lot of people will refer to this as Jab. The reason for that is this is the only ability we have that changes names based off of what weapon we have. So if you are wearing fist weapons, it is Jab. If you have a polearm like I do for tanking, it's Pike. I think if you have a staff, it's Smash. And there's a few others. But the point is, it's your main ability, regardless of spec. Now, the main thing to keep in mind here is why it's so important is it's the only ability that generates chi as a tank. So you'll see I'll do Pike. I get some chi all the way up here. And you need tons of chi as a Brewmaster due to almost all of your defensive abilities require chi. So it's practically used every bit you have energy for it. Now moving on, we have Tiger Palm. Now as Brewmaster, Tiger Palm has no energy, no chi cost, it's free. They changed this recently, so it's essentially a filler ability, but it also comes with one other perk of why you want to use it, beyond from you have nothing else to do, and that is, you'll see right up here, you get something called Power Guard. Now Power Guard increases the power of your next guard by 5%. And guard as of currently is a little bugged, but I'll get into that later. Power guard from using Tiger Palm can stack up to 3 times. So you can see right here, 10%, 15%, and it doesn't go any further. So, moving on. Next we have is Blackout Kick. Blackout Kick costs 1 chi. And it does extra damage to targets below 50%. As a tank, the only reason you really have this on your bar is due to the fact that you get a free proc for it every time you parry. Otherwise, you are never to use this ability. There's really no point. It provides no extra benefit. Otherwise, you would just use Tiger Palm and get increased guards and use no energy. So, moving on again. Next up we have is Keg Smash. This was recently added to our arsenal. As you can see, it is a cleave, and it costs 1 chi, but it also has a benefit that it causes the next attack of those affected by it to misfire. So not only is it good in a single target rotation, and it's good in an AoE rotation because of the cleave. So you want to keep the debuff up. You want to use it so that way they misfire, that's less damage to you. And then you want to use it in AoE packs because it's cheap to use and it gets their attention. Sadly, it only hits 3 targets, I believe, but still good to use. Next up in the AoE set of things that also work in single target is Dizzying Haze. Now you'll notice Dizzying Haze does no damage. It only applies a debuff. I don't believe it even applies threat. However, what it does do, and as you can see, it works like D&D, so you can throw it anywhere you want. It applies this debuff. It puts a speed reduction, and it also increases their chance to misfire. Now this stacks up to 3 times again. So, 2, 3. And you'll notice it's a 9% chance to misfire and a 45% movement speed reduction. So it's very important to keep this up on bosses also, because it's more chances for them to not hit you. But the key to this ability is that your next AoE ability works off of it. Now you notice Breath of Fire costs 2 chi, does a fair bit of damage, but it's multiplied by the amount of stacks you have of Dizzying Haze. So, just to give you an example, I'm going to let this Dizzying Haze run off. Alright, we can see Breath of Fire. And it does 5k damage. It's not that great, but it's something. Now, let's get some Dizzying Haze back up on this. 1, 2, 3. We have to wait for this obnoxious 15-second cooldown. And then we can see what it does. 21k. It's a fair bit higher. So you really want to work that in, making sure as many stacks as you can once you get further into an AoE pack. But, for initial aggro, you may just want to get the one down and then do a Breath of Fire. Now, moving on to our basic tanking abilities. Provoke is our taunt. There's two key differences on this compared to other taunts, although I'm not sure on this one, is that it causes them to come towards you quicker. I don't know if this is the new way taunts work, but that's pretty interesting that it gets them over to you pretty quickly. And the other thing is regarding your Statue of the Ox, which I'll get into later, that if you target your statue and taunt the statue, it's an AoE taunt. The next ability, also focused on your statue, is Leer of the Ox. Now, every spec of a monk has a different Leer, because every spec has a different statue. Basically, what this one does is it causes the enemies around you to attack the statue instead, rather than yourself. So it's good for AoE packs, where you need to get stuff off of you real quick, but they still have aggro on something besides the rest of your party. Now, the next interesting thing that we have is Expel Harm. You'll notice it costs 40 energy. It has a 15-second cooldown. It doesn't cost any chi. What's interesting about it is that it heals and does damage. So it'll heal you for a set amount, and then all the amount that you got healed for will go out to all the targets within 5 yards. So if you notice real quick, do that. There's 11k. I healed for 11k. It got hurt for 11k. The next thing is Guard, which these two work together very well. If you notice, Guard says not only does it absorb a set amount of damage, but heals that you do to yourself are increased. So why don't we do this? You get your 3 stacks of Power Guard, so Guard's extra powerful. You pop Guard up, and then you heal yourself. So you notice my heal does a bit more, like 15k. It's not a whole lot more, but it is more. Now, Guard right now is a bit bugged. It's supposed to have an 8-second cooldown, but as of now, it seems to have a 30-second cooldown. So no one's really sure where that's headed, but, just a heads up. The next ability on our list is Shuffle. Now, Shuffle is another interesting one, like most of the monk abilities, and that it causes the next 3 attacks on you to be staggered, which is your mastery. We'll get into that a little later. But what's interesting is the fact that you can't do anything when you do stagger. So you press stagger and no auto attack, no nothing. I'm just standing there. I'm not doing anything special. That's it. The whole time you cannot press any abilities. It's a bit weird. But another ability you can use. I suppose it's great if you have tons of aggro and it doesn't matter. Now, next up we have is our brews. There's 3 brews. One's a bit scary. I don't know if I would ever use as a tank, but we'll go over it. The first brew that you have is Purifying Brew. This is a tank-only brew. Any damage that you get staggered, which is your mastery, can be purged. Now, the basics of stagger is that you take half the damage, and then the next half of the damage is done to you over a period of time. And the more mastery you have, the less damage it does. So you'll get hit for half, and then the next half won't be half. Maybe it's like 40%, 30%, done over some seconds. And if you have that, you can press this brew and it clears it right off. Next up is Elusive Brew. This is just increases your chance to dodge by 50%. That is straightforward. It's 45-second cooldown. So is the other brew. It's there's no explanation needed. Fortifying Brew, another weird, kind of scary one. It increases your health by 100%, but you can't be healed, and it lasts 20 seconds. This isn't spec specific. This can be anybody has this, but it's just scary as a tank to not be able to heal for the next 20 seconds unless you know you won't take any damage after a certain point. But I can't picture using this ever. Another ability you get is Avert Harm. It's a 1-minute cooldown. This is, in short, Divine Guardian. Attacks that would normally hit other people, 20% of them goes to you. You get the idea. If you know how Divine Guardian works, it's the same thing. Next up is Detox. This isn't, once again, tank specific, but it's just interesting. Is that it removes a poison and a bleed effect. I can't think of any fights off the top of my head that have a bleed effect, but if there ever is one, this will be awesome. Now let's get into that statue for a little bit here. Let me summon my ox. See my buddy there? It's gigantic. I have no idea why they're this huge, but they just are. Main thing about the ox is that it has a click-on ability. And that is, if a friendly clicks on it, they get a guard. Same as your guard. It's the exact same guard. So, click on it, I get a guard. It only charges and has 3-minute cooldown. I don't know what they're going to do with these. I'm not a big fan of them. But I'd imagine tanks would want these all to themselves and not want to share them with anybody because of the extra guards. Basically, you can get a long period where you're just taking no damage. As you can see, I'm just clicking it, using them all up, getting tons of guards. Alright, let's just go over the last few bits that matter for tanking. Brewmaster training, as I said, this is why your Tiger Palm has no cost required to it, and why your Blackout Kick is even on your bars, is because when you parry, you get a freebie. And with Tiger Palm, it is free, and it gives you that stack for the increased ability of guard. The other thing is over here, which is the Elusive Brawler. Now, this is our mastery that I wanted to go over. It reduces the damage taken by stagger by almost 15%, and increases the effect of your guard. So your mastery increases how much guard does, which is already a lot. But it also reduces that second bit of your stagger damage, the part that hits you over time. So rather than that other part hitting me for 50% over like 6 seconds, I don't remember how long it staggers, but it'll hit me for 35% over that same set of time. And if it's a lot, depending on the damage, I could use Purifying Brew and just get rid of it. And that is about it. Everything else is more to all other monks. This just gives you an idea of what you're looking at. And just for fun, I'm going to go through all the abilities real quick one more time. So that's Jab, Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Keg Smash, that's Jab again, Dizzying Haze, Breath of Fire, that's Taunt. That is Expel Harm. That's Guard. That's Shuffle. Yeah, it's real exciting, isn't it, when you can't do anything for 6 seconds. Purifying Brew. As you can see, you actually have a jug that you can drink. Avert Harm. Detox. This is the buff that all monks get, but it's just cool because it makes a neat noise. And a statue. So I hope all of you enjoyed my quick preview. I plan on doing a few more of these videos as monks progress, especially Brewmasters, because I'm very interested in them. And that's it. So I'm going to roll on out. See y'all later.